good? Yes. Okay, welcome to the Wednesday, September 24, 2025 Spokane Plan Commission hearing. We have one item on the agenda tonight. First, I want to read a few Plan Commission hearing guidelines. So when attending a Plan Commission hearing, please silence your cell phones and maintain appropriate decorum throughout the proceedings. No clapping, cheering, booing, or public outbursts are permitted, and all attendees must wait to be recognized by the president before speaking. For public comments, individual speakers are typically limited to 3 to 5 minutes as determined by the president. Groups of 10 or more people may consolidate their time by designating one representative to speak for 15 minutes on their behalf. All comments should focus on the specific project and code compliance while avoiding repetition. All testimony, whether spoken, written, emailed, must be directed through the secretary to ensure proper entry into the public record. Participants should follow all instructions from the president to ensure that their remarks are clearly heard and recorded. Sign-up sheets for group presentations are available at the back of council chambers. Demonstrations, banners, profanity, vulgar language, personal insults, and other disruptive behaviors are strictly prohibited. If such disorders persist, the president has the authority to remove the disruptive individuals, recess, or adjourn the meeting entirely. So before we begin, Angie, will you please take roll?
President Mink.
Here.
Vice President Patterson.
Here.
Commissioner Edwards.
Here.
Commissioner Francis.
Here.
Commissioner Lenhart.
Here.
Commissioner Shook.
Here.
Commissioner Tamouche is absent. Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Yachts.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Very good. Thank you, Angie. So as I mentioned, we have one single item on the agenda tonight, and that is the Cannon Hill Park Addition Historic District. And so we will invite the presenters up, Megan Duvall and Nathan South.
Yeah. And I have a presentation. I'm hoping that, well, this would be a lot of me standing here
Please stand
talking
by.
without any pictures to look at. I guess while we're waiting for the presentation to come up, I would like to just kind of start out by, well, one, I'm Megan Duvall. I'm the Historic Preservation Officer for the city and the county. I'd like to acknowledge the really huge effort that was undertaken by this neighborhood, who really did this as a grassroots effort. Nathan South really started the conversation and ended up getting together a very good group of property owners who were willing to put in the time and work. Betsy Bradley and Marcia. Oh my gosh, Marcia. Oh my goodness. I had to turn around to look at your face. Marcia Rooney did a lot of the lifting of creating the nomination document. So it was a huge effort by these neighbors and should be applauded. So, okay. All right, we're good to go then. Okay, so we're talking today about the Cannon Hill Park Historic District. And there we go, good. So I got rid of my, saved an amber quote and gave you a quote straight out of the comprehensive plan about historic preservation in Spokane. So Chapter 8 of the comprehensive plan, our existing plan, as you know, includes historic preservation. And so urban design is the other half of that chapter. Urban design and historic preservation involves the city's form and function, subdivision design, street character and identification, and preservation of historic resources, including buildings, sites, and districts. So I just sort of wanted to give us a basis here from the comprehensive plan. That chapter also includes a vision and values. And so basically just talking about the importance of historic preservation, our cultural fabric, our neighborhoods, and that they be maintained and improved. And it also includes just even mentioning the tree-lined streets, which this neighborhood obviously includes. The values, preserving historic buildings, our fabric, our cultural heritage that give Spokane its character, and ensuring that new buildings in historic areas complement their surroundings. So thus, that's the design review component. So what is a local historic district? I know for those of you who have been in workshops and have been on the Plan Commission for a long time, you've heard this a couple times now, but a local historic district is basically a nomination of a group of properties. It's listed on the Spokane Register as a district. So boundaries are put together, and then everything within the boundaries are part of the historic register. So it does require an amendment to the Unified Development Code because of where our chapter, Historic Preservation, resides in the Spokane Municipal Code, Chapter 17. We create a historic district overlay. So basically, the formation of that overlay zone, it changes the official zoning map for the city of Spokane to include this overlay zone. Overlay zone is the main part that's in our ordinance, and then design standards and guidelines are referenced through that ordinance. So basically, they're adopted by reference, and then the change to the map are the three components. So under how do we form these? City Council made a big change to our Historic Preservation Code back in 2018, and it really recodified historic preservation. It gave us the ability to create real historic districts in Spokane. And in order to create a historic district in Spokane, we have to have nomination documents. So we have to have a nomination, resource forms, as well as the consent of the property owners through a vote. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to that part. And then final designation via this overlay zone ordinance. So those are the three key components, and that changes the official city zoning map. So getting into this specific district, I'm not going to talk too much about the history, but this is the map of the area. So this is the dashed line is what will be created on the zoning map for the city. You can see Lincoln Street to the west, 18th Avenue to the north, Bernard Street to the west, and 21st Boulevard to the south. And it does include both sides of 21st Boulevard. The black dots are what we call contributing properties or historic properties. The yellow dots are non-contributing properties. And those are basically non-contributing because either they've been changed significantly from when they were built, or they were built outside what we call the period of significance. So there's only 11 of those. So why this particular neighborhood? Why is it targeted for preservation? Basically, we've been looking at this neighborhood since way back in 2008. The Historic Preservation Office got a grant from the Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation to do a survey of this Cannon Hill Park Addition neighborhood. It actually goes all the way up to 25th Avenue, but we did this intensive level survey of the neighborhood back in 2008. And basically, surveys are just the foundation of our what we do in preservation. If we don't know what's out there to save, we can't save it. So this survey was done, almost 20 years ago at this point. So as new people have moved into the neighborhood, the idea of a historic district got started. So now we get to the point where we have to write a nomination for the district. So the significance of this particular district and what the Landmarks Commission has already weighed in on is that this is a planned development, platted 1909 to 1910 by the Arthur Jones Company. And it basically included extensive landscape planting to create this fine residential district as they advertised. The neighborhood is really largely intact as it was at the end of its build-out period. So first houses were built in 1909. Really, the building kind of stopped by about 1958. There are some things that come outside of that, but not very many. So what actually makes up the district? We have 191 residential properties. 2 extra properties are just extra parcels. One of them has a garage on it. The other one is just a large lot. So it's got 2 parcels. 180 of those, as I mentioned, contribute to the district. Only 11 are considered non-contributing. That is a very high ratio. Properties considered to be contributing were built between 1909 and 1958 and retain most of their original integrity. So the entire district is really single-family homes. A few ADUs are included that usually probably are combined with garages. So the types of properties, I'll just run through this really quick if you're not super familiar with this neighborhood. Of the 191 properties, 57 of them are what we would call like a bungalow type of property. So 1.5 story, pretty typical craftsman bungalow all over the South Hill and other parts of Spokane. 52, what they're calling cottage types. So these might be Tudor composite revivals or other cottage types. They probably are mostly going to be 1.5 story as well with pitched roofs. So these are some that show that cottage type. And those were built all the way up until 1947. So 67 residence types, so this is kind of a different terminology than we normally do. These ones are just defined by the author of the nomination as 2+ story larger residential buildings. You can see these were built all the way from the very beginning of the platting of the district in 1909 up until 1953, when you get more of like a colonial revival type of a large 2-story house. And then we have 11 ranch types that are still considered contributing to the district, mostly built between 1948 and the close of the period of significance in 1958. So pretty typical ranch styles that you would think of, 1 stories. So then I wanted to talk just a little bit again about the design standards and guidelines, because this is part of our ordinance that we're asking you to recommend for approval by City Council. So design standards and guidelines, every district in Spokane that's created at the local level has to have its own specific design standards and guidelines. So that is a big part of why we don't have a million neighborhoods coming to us to create historic districts, because this is quite a process. The nomination is a very vast document, and the design standards and guidelines, having to be specific to the neighborhood, are very difficult for people to get their arms around as well. We use what's called the Secretary of the Interior standards for review of only the street-facing exteriors. We actually don't look at the interiors of properties, and we really do concentrate for districts on the street-facing exteriors. Those Secretary of the Interior standards are 10 broad standards. And then in this guidance, the design standards and guidelines, we offer guidelines that help both the commission as well as property owners to sort of understand what is allowed within the district. So the standards are kind of these broad standards, and then the guidelines help people to figure out how to actually manage a project that they plan. A lot of the design review that we do in the existing districts like Browns Addition and the Cannon Streetcar Suburb Historic District, I would say the vast majority are done by administrative review. They're done within 24 to 48 hours. As long as either Logan or I are in the office, we're doing them pretty quickly. The only times that it goes before the whole Landmarks Commission are really, really big projects, and that's pretty rare that happens. We talked about this before in the workshop, but design standards and guidelines, when we talk about accessory dwelling units, we ask the neighborhood as we're developing these design standards and guidelines, do you want us to look at the design of ADUs or detached garages? The answer in this neighborhood was no. So we will not be reviewing any design standards or anything like that for ADUs. That will just be whatever the standard city guidelines are for those accessory dwelling units. Garages the same, if they don't touch the property. If they do touch the property, if they're attached, they would be considered an addition, and we would be reviewing those. And then also new construction within the district, so except for those attached or detached ADUs and garages, would require full Landmarks Commission review. But we have to say there's only 11 non-contributing buildings in this district, or houses in this district. So, and only one parcel that doesn't already have a building on it. So it would probably require demolition of something in order to have us even be looking at new construction in the district. But there is an entire chapter in the design standards and guidelines on new construction. So just touching on demolition, what does that mean? So because this would be considered a Spokane Register historic district, that means that we would review any demolitions within this neighborhood. So those 11 properties that are considered non-contributing would basically be allowed to be demolished, and then new construction would be reviewed by the Landmarks Commission before that would be approved. But really, if a historic contributing property came to the Landmarks Commission for demolition, it could be denied for demolition. We have a whole section of our code that talks about demolition and the reasons why those can be denied. So process now, getting into the process pieces. So we talked about one of the pieces that we have to do is to have a poll or balloting of the property owners in order to consider that for owner consent. So we mailed 191 ballots. That included 193 votes because of those two properties that have more than one parcel. If you own two parcels, you get 2 votes. We mailed those on May 8th. We received 154 ballots back. That's 80%, pretty good for an election, even though it's not an election, but they did return their ballots. 135 of those ballots were in favor of forming the district. So that's 70% in favor. I just think it's important to note that of those who actually returned ballots, 88% were in favor of creating the district. So 135 of the 154 were in favor. 17 ballots were returned against forming the district, so 9%. 2 were neutral. We've never had a single one be neutral before, so it was interesting to get 2 neutral votes in this district. Those were counted as no's. And then 39 folks that didn't return their ballots are all counted as no's. So we basically start with 193 no votes, and then we have to have yes votes out of that. So basically, we are required to have 50% or a simple majority of property owners to move it forward to Landmarks Commission, Plan Commission, and the City Council. So they've certainly met that burden. So just more about the process. So this is just the process stuff that we have done. We're here at the Plan Commission hearing. We had 1 workshop with you. The Landmarks Commission has touched this a couple different times as well. They do a preliminary vote before they look at the nomination documents, the resource forms, and the design standards and guidelines before we even send out those ballots, because we want property owners to know what they're voting on. We don't want to just send out ballots and then later create these historic guidelines and things. So they were all available on our website for folks to review before they voted. And, you know, we've done all of our SEPA. There was a SEPA sign in the Cannon Hill Park right next to a SEPA sign for parks about the pond itself. So we had a couple SEPA signs up. And basically, you know, we've done a SEPA for this. And the next steps would be the Urban Experience Committee meeting for City Council hearing. And that will conclude things. We've also done a lot of outreach. The neighborhood has done a ton of outreach. We've done a couple public workshops in the neighborhood alongside the neighborhood proponents. As I mentioned, all of our Landmarks Commission meetings are all noticed and are open to the public, certainly. The neighborhood themselves have knocked on every door, probably more than once, and maybe some of them will say something in their testimony, but there have been lots of face-to-face conversations amongst neighbors, and I think that's probably why we had such a high turnout of ballots as well. So they've had several mailings. We mailed a postcard. We've had that SEPA sign posted. We had the Plan Commission workshop. We've had the Landmarks Commission hearing, which was in August. We've actually mailed out another full notice of the SEPA determination and the notice of Plan Commission hearing at the end of August. It's been in the newspaper a couple times, so I feel like we've done our outreach at this point. We did get 3 agency comments and 3 public comments that were in your packet, so they were all in support or just no comment really from the agencies. And then we get to your job as a Plan Commission. I thought I would just help to lay out what this is. So again, this is an overlay zone ordinance. And the way that we have our ordinances for these historic districts, so the actual ordinance goes into our code, so we add a section of code. So this would be 17D 100, which is the Historic Preservation Code, 285. So I think I want to say the Cannon streetcar suburb is 290 and the Browns edition is 280, and we just wedged this one in between, and you know, in case there's more districts. So anyway, this is a new section of code that basically lays out the creation of this overlay zone. So when is it okay to do a unified development code amendment? So this is really your decision-making criteria. So I thought I would just sort of lay this out. So basically, there's 2 approval criteria. The first is that proposed amendment has to be consistent with the applicable provisions of the comprehensive plan. And then the second is that this amendment bears a substantial relation to public health, safety, welfare, and protection of the environment. So we'll first take the comprehensive plan. And this, literally, I just took out of the comprehensive plan. So basically, these are goals that we're helping you to meet within the comprehensive plan as it exists today. And from what we've seen, the next plan doesn't really change too much about what historic preservation does in Spokane. So basically, we've got, all of these goals, encouraging recognition of historic properties, establishing preservation as a high priority within all city programs, requires that we actually identify historic resources so that we can help make decisions in planning, and uses the Landmarks Commission as the experts really advising you, the City Council, and Parks Board, and any other city agencies on preservation. It also requires that the city utilize design guidelines, so we're creating those design guidelines for this neighborhood to make sure that the character and development issues in each of these sub-areas or historic districts is compatible. And then it also talks about the fact that our neighborhoods are one of our best assets, and that we, as the city, are assisting neighborhoods or historic districts to protect their neighborhoods. And finally, we also offer incentives to property owners in order to create historic districts or to list properties individually on the Spokane Register. And we also had this deconstruction and reuse of historic materials, which we now actually have an ordinance in the city of Spokane that requires deconstruction of any properties that are submitted for a permit for demolition now. If they're eligible to be listed on the Spokane Register, we can require deconstruction and salvage of preservation of materials that can be reused. And so we've had a couple so far this year. I think we've done two houses in Spokane and one commercial building or institutional building out at SFCC. So we've been able to actually use that ordinance and salvage some really cool materials, and people are reusing them. So this is just more places, and I just sort of threw this up because historic preservation touches more than just Chapter 8, it's also in land use and housing and neighborhoods and just the local government and citizenship, basically neighborhoods getting involved and offering people the ability to have these public engagement opportunities. So then the second part, so that was all the comprehensive plan part. So the second part of changing an amendment to the Unified Development Code basically talks about the environment. And you're probably thinking, well, how is preservation environment? Well, actually, on the SEPA, the State Environmental Protection, what am I thinking? Act, thank you. I was like, what's that A stand for? It actually has the checklist. Question number 13, under environmental elements, is historic and cultural preservation. So any projects that have to go under SEPA, or have to create a SEPA checklist, you have to look at their impacts to historic or cultural resources in your city. So basically, we are under environmental, so therefore, we think that we're meeting that, that burden in the second part of your decision-making process. So what we're asking for today is for you to recommend to City Council that the proposed adoption of this new piece of code, the Cannon Hill Park Local Historic Overlay Zone and Design Standards and Guidelines, that it's fully consistent with the applicable provisions of the City of Spokane Comprehensive Plan and bears a substantial relation to the public health, safety, welfare, and protection of the environment. And I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
Okay, thank you, Megan.
Sure.
Does anyone have any questions? Commissioner Yachts?
Thank you so much
Sure.
for this presentation. It was very informative. You mentioned that there are some incentives to neighbors in an historic district.
There
What
are.
kind of incentives are there?
Sure. So one, we have a small facade improvement grant that is only available to Spokane Register-listed properties or contributing properties within historic districts at the local level. So it's a grant that's up to $5,000. Facade improvement, so it should be on the front where everybody can enjoy it. We actually get that money from all the demolition fees in the city of Spokane. So once a year, we go through and we kind of scrape all of the permit fees for demolition, and then it's put into a historic preservation incentives fund, and we're able to grant out. We've been averaging 3-4 grants a year for that. So it's small, but it can be combined with some other grant opportunities. But the bigger one is a property tax incentive. So for folks that have a contributing property in a historic district or an individually listed property, if they substantially improve their property in a 2-year period, then, and substantial means 25% of the house's value, if we're talking about this district. So the house's value minus the land, that's sort of the threshold. They can spend more than that, obviously. But it can be anything from kitchens and bath remodels to new roofs, HVAC systems. Any improvement, we're really looking at things that will keep that house or that building around for the next 100 years. The amount that they spent on those improvements in that 2 years are reviewed by the Landmarks Commission, and then for 10 years, that dollar amount is removed from the valuation of the property, and then they're taxed on the lower amount. So if something's worth $500,000 and somebody puts $200,000 in, they would be taxed on the remaining $300,000. So the property values will continue to ebb and flow like they always would, but that $200,000 that they spent on improvements would be continued to be removed every year for 10 years. So it's a good incentive. Am I forgetting any other incentives? We can get involved in code relief, but we don't often do that in homes. That's mostly commercial.
Commissioner Edwards?
Thanks. How do you determine the period of significance?
That's through the research of writing the nomination. So basically what the author of this nomination looked at was what were the built dates? When does it start to when do you see a real, a stop of new homes being built? So that's really, I think, what she mostly based it on was, after 1958, maybe another house wasn't built until 1968 or something like that. So there's kind of a good place where it makes sense. Probably after the World War II stuff, people were pretty settled. The neighborhood was fairly built out by that point, so there really wasn't a lot more going on. So that's really probably how she did the bookend on 1958.
Commissioner Shook?
And isn't it a minimum of 50 years?
We do, yes. 50 years is generally what we look at. Some properties can be exceptionally significant. We listed the East Central Community Center, which has still not quite gotten to be 50 years, and we listed it a year or two ago. I think it was built in 1978 on other foundations of other buildings, but that was actually built in 1978. But because of its exceptional significance to that neighborhood in the city of Spokane as the first community center, it was actually listed before it was 50 years. But generally, we look at 50 years, yes.
Commissioner Francis?
Hi.
Hi.
I know this definitely achieves it, but is there a percentage of homes that need to be contributing to qualify for a historic district?
We generally like it to be at least half. We're looking for as high a ratio as possible. So when you're getting in about 50-50, that gets a little bit tougher, for us because, our intent is a fairly intact neighborhood. We're not looking to just string things together just because. So we want it to be a pretty high number. This is by far the highest number. The other districts we have, Brown's Addition probably is between 55 and 60% that would be considered contributing. I think the Cannon Streetcar District, similar, 60%. So this one being that high of a ratio is pretty unusual. This is really kind of old school preservation district. I mean, this is kind of, like, oh yeah, it's not already a district, surprise, surprise. I think people think it's already a historic district, so.
Is there a minimum in the code?
A minimum in the code, no.
Thanks.
Commissioner Yachts?
What happens if somebody wants to build or change their property?
They would.
What are the extra
Yep.
steps that someone
Sure.
would have to go through?
Sure. So in order to get a building permit, you have to first get a certificate of appropriateness and, I'm sorry? Yeah, exterior, yeah, nothing on the interior, but an exterior building permit. So a certificate of appropriateness is created. Basically, those are all available. Our application is online. It's part of the permitting system, so most contractors are pretty familiar with getting one. So we're interested in different things than like the regular permits. This is just an easy one. So we look at roofs. So what we want to know about the new roof is what's the brand, what's the shingle type, and what color is it? Now, the permit folks, they don't care at all about any of those things. So that's one thing that we have to kind of educate builders about, or contractors or roofers, is that we're looking for it on an aesthetic side of it, like, is it going to be a bright green or a bright red roof? Or is it just going to be a standard roof? And that's, so basically, they just fill that out, and we get notified right away. We basically exchange some emails back and forth, and then, as I said, most of those are done within 24 to 48 hours. The Landmarks Commission does meet every month. If we need to bring a certificate of appropriateness before the full Landmarks Commission, it's generally anywhere from 4 weeks. I think the most, if literally we had a meeting and somebody applied for a COA the day after a meeting, it could be, 5 weeks before we heard that. But we make a decision that day generally, yeah.
And is the appropriateness, is the aesthetic, like to what degree does that aesthetic apply? Like if a shingled house needs replacement shingles, is it required to have cedar shingles, like it's historic, like in the past, or is like
New materials.
Yeah, new materials.
Yeah, we have a whole section in the design standards and guidelines about alternative materials, and so we certainly, the first standard of the Secretary of the Interior Standards is repair rather than replace. If you can repair something, do that first. But if you have to replace, they say, replace in kind, same materials. Now, if you can't get that same material, then use something new that looks like the old.
What if you can't afford that same material?
Then you'd probably be coming to us for a certificate of appropriateness with a new material.
Okay.
And that's fine. And
Okay.
we look at that all the time.
So things
yeah.
like affordability are accounted for in that process?
Yes, it is not, yes, absolutely. I mean, we're not saying that these houses have to stay, if it's wood shingles or, clapboard siding, that's wood. Honestly, a big part of the deconstruction ordinance is to try to have a salvage place in Spokane, a salvage warehouse where people can go and buy a few pieces of, skinny, narrow wood siding, to be able to fix things that are broken, that we just don't have anymore. Brown's Building Supply used to be a place where people could find those materials. It's not so easy anymore. So if somebody does have to use new materials, we just ask for it to be as close, like if we're looking at the reveal as, a skinny siding, we want the new siding to have generally the same reveal so that it doesn't change the look. We all have seen asbestos siding, and it's like a foot wide instead of the skinny siding that's probably underneath it. So we just want something that looks similar from the street. So, yeah.
Okay, any further questions for Megan? Okay, thank you, Megan.
Sure, thank you.
At this time, we'll allow the applicant to make a few remarks if you'd like.
That was a really good question. That is something we've discussed with folks. So, yeah, we're not going to be, well, it's actually Megan and Logan that aren't going to be sticklers with that. So thank you for letting me speak. I'm Nathan South, and I've been on the Neighborhood Committee from the get-go. I'd like to start with some important thank yous to go on the record. Betsy Bradley, sitting back here, authoring the nomination document, which thoroughly covers the neighborhood's historical significance. Thanks to the HPO, the Historic Preservation Office, Megan and Logan have helped the committee for the 2 years that we've been pursuing this. So it's been a while now. Thanks to the neighbors that came before us that sort of maintained these houses and made improvements, but with an eye to keeping the neighborhood sort of the neighborhood. So a lot of thanks go to them. But the biggest thanks go to the current neighbors who gave it that 70% yes vote. And that's the highest of any district. So that's great. As part of canvassing and outreach, I've probably spoken to nearly half the households personally. And there's universal acknowledgement, even among the folks who said, no, I'm not for this, that this neighborhood's something special, that it really does have an amazing collection of older properties. That's what makes Spokane unique in a beautiful city. Each of us has enjoyed watching visitors and locals sort of stroll through the neighborhood, look at the architecture, admire the houses, admire the tree-lined streets, go from park to park, and just sort of enjoy walking around an older neighborhood. We're very lucky to live in a city that understands the importance of its architectural history. Not all cities do. And the fact that it's included in the creation, that we've included the creation of historic districts within the comprehensive plan says a lot about Spokane. One often overlooked benefit of historic districts is that they can actually protect neighborhoods from becoming less affordable. And the reason is that when developers start targeting neighborhoods, especially more affluent neighborhoods, which this is, they target the smaller houses first. And what they do is they build single-family houses of maximum square footage to maximize their profits. Historic districts help prevent that. This type of development does nothing to increase density and only makes it harder for existing residents to remain in or purchase in these neighborhoods. So thanks for your time today. I hope you vote to honor the neighborhood as part of Spokane's fascinating history and architecture. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. South. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we'll open up to public testimony. And the first signer we have is Betsy Bradley.
Well, it's a little bit nice to be speaking rather than writing. So I wrote a whole lot for this project, but I'm a property owner and resident on West 20th Avenue in the proposed Cannon Hill Park Historic District. I became involved with this project because I believe designating historic districts is the most fine-grained planning tool we have. The neighborhood has a medium density in Spokane and meets a range of housing needs from modest cottages to large residences. It has served and continues to serve as a valued residential neighborhood. The proposed district is a small, cohesive neighborhood that provides little opportunity for redevelopment if sustainability is a value in our community. There are virtually no vacant lots, and the small number of side lots may well remain side yards. A high number of properties are contributing and therefore very unlikely to be replaced with other dwellings. Yet this neighborhood will change organically as people add or replace residential amenities, construct ADUs, and steward the landscape. A historic district overlay is a means to minimize change in our neighborhood other than such slow organic change. The committee I worked with offered the possibility of adopting a historic district, and our fellow property owners replied with a resounding yes. We ask you to support this proposal as well.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Bradley? Next speaker we have is Peter Sandburn. Apologize if I think it's been covered by the previous speakers. Very good, thank you. The only other person we have signed up is Mr. South. I don't know if you have additional comments beyond your, didn't think so, but thought I would. Okay, and seeing as though we have no one online, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to provide public testimony? Okay, and with that, we will go ahead and close public testimony and begin deliberations. Can I entertain a motion, please?
I move that we recognize SMC 17D 100-285 and recommend it to City Council for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. So with that, we will begin deliberations. Thoughts from anyone? Commissioner Francis, go for it.
Well, you know, Megan, I've had a lot of issues with this over the years. So I was one of the ones with getting the Historic Preservation Code in place. I was on Plan Commission when we did that. And there was a lot of contention over it, but it went through. And there was a lot of work that went back and forth to do it. I always have concerns about, you know, balancing historic preservation with future needs. And whether or not we lock something in and prevent potential redevelopment. I look in my neighborhood in Rockwood area, the non-historic part of Rockwood. And we're seeing redevelopment, and I know the impact of that. You know, I have a 1910 Craftsman that I know next door could end up a very modern construction as a result. In some ways, I see that as just the way things go. I am going to support this for a couple of reasons. One is we put the code in place and it had the full support of City Council. This does comply with the comprehensive plan. So I think that's good. I do have concerns about how we utilize this in the future. I look at this neighborhood and the fact that it has so much continuity within it, so many contributing homes. I think it's an excellent candidate for this historic preservation. I do worry about how we might utilize it in the future. So I'm going to support it here.
Well, I guess I'll take an opportunity to build off of that. I agree with a lot of what Commissioner Francis just said there. I'm a huge proponent of both historic preservation as well as historic districts. In fact, I met with Mr. South, when was that, 2 and change years ago when this whole process was beginning. And I agree that this particular neighborhood is an excellent candidate. I'm intimately familiar with the neighborhood as I live on 18th immediately across Bernard from the neighborhood in question. So I walk my dog in there near daily. But I too have concerns over evolution. I think cities are organic beings and they grow and they change and they evolve, and I have concerns over how we interrupt that process and interrupt that that evolution. And I know one of the speakers eloquently spoke towards organic evolution, and that's an idea that I certainly support. And I think there are open questions about this historic districting process and how that interferes or interacts with that evolution over time. I will say, as we are developing the new comprehensive plan update for 2026, there's been a proposal by the HPO for the city to complete a historic preservation survey citywide. And I want to take this opportunity to full-throatedly support that idea. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal idea, and I think the city needs to come together to say, what are we doing here? Let's identify, let's do the work that was done, maybe perhaps not as detailed as was done in 2008 in this neighborhood, but let's do it as a city and let's understand what it is that we're working with. Who are the candidates for preservation? Where does it make sense to preserve? Where does it make sense to allow evolution? And frankly, I will take a step further to recommend to our folks on City Council that we pause on historic district preservation or historic district origination until that study can be completed, because I think there are some really, really important things that we all need to agree on as a community coming out of that. That being said, also completely agree with Commissioner Francis. Has been an extraordinary set of outreach activities by this community clearly is the will of the community to form this historic district. And so I will be supportive of this question before us tonight. But I think we do need to come together as a community and ask ourselves globally, holistically, what is it that we're doing with historic preservation and how can we be focused and targeted moving forward? Further comments? Carol and then Jill?
I think it's a good program. I think it's a great tool to help us continue to build value in established neighborhoods, planned neighborhoods, and I'd like to see this go forward. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Carol. I really love, I love historic buildings. I think this neighborhood is amazing. I've run through it and I can feel that sense of just relaxation being there. It feels special. I also love grassroots efforts and community engagement, and it makes me feel really compelled to go with this, move forward with this. There are some concerns that I have. Spokane has a motto, "In Spokane, we all belong." And when we add additional barriers, or additional requirements, we add additional barriers to entry. I believe we actually have enough ordinances and regulations in place to protect, and processes too, to protect these homes. And I also don't see these homes going away. I don't believe there's a lot of opportunity for new construction, although I really liked the argument of slow organic change, as well as preservation of affordability. I thought those were really great points, and I'm going to continue to think about those. But I believe this needs to be included in a future plan that's more comprehensive for our city. So I will be voting against it.
I just have one quick comment. I do agree that I think that it is consistent with our comprehensive plan. I want to specifically call out what I perceive as a little bit of denigration to bright red and green roofs, because they are very historic.
Certainly green.
Yes, my house did originally have a bright green cedar shake roof. And so I was actually really disappointed that I could no longer purchase shingles in those colors because they were not available in our region, and you have to buy shingles that are manufactured for the region. And everyone wants black right now, which is not.
I did approve a green one in Brown's Edition,
Oh.
so they're making them again.
Yeah, it is. There was one green option, but it was very forest green, so it didn't match my house. I'm just saying.
That was it?
That's it.
Chairman Bent, could I just clarify the record on the percentages of contributing, if you were so interested? I pulled them up for each of the districts, if you want to know.
If you can do so quickly.
Yeah, in Brown's Edition, it's 76% are contributing. In the Cannon Streetcar, it's 81%, and in this district, it's 94%.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner Williams.
A couple things. I largely concur with most of the previous comments, although I have no idea about colors on the roofs. That's a little out of my sphere. But, it's a wonderful neighborhood, and it's got great historic buildings, and I think the neighborhood would do fine with or without a historic designation. I think being on the Plan Commission over the last number of years, I'm more aware of when we start to create special this and special that, it makes things more complex. So in general, I prefer citywide zoning with fewer exceptions in terms of just making it simpler to do business, simpler for the city to evolve. I also think that a historic district adds a layer of regulation and long-term could slow the natural rate of change, and so that's a concern. That said, this is somewhat the poster child for a historic district in terms of the homes and the age and how it looks, and when visitors come to Spokane, we trot them through the Cannon Hill neighborhood some of the time. So my concerns, though, are largely more about what might be the precedent. For this particular neighborhood, I'm planning to vote yes after considerable thought about this, and I appreciate the people have followed the process, the law is there, they've done the right thing, great effort by the neighborhood. But I find myself thinking, well, what if the Comstock neighborhood gets together and said, well, let's protect our ranchers? And what if the Hamlin ranchers said, well, then we start to have other parts of the city that could, in a way, prevent more density and prevent more multifamily and prevent opportunities for lower-income people to move into those neighborhoods over time and take access of the great grade schools that exist in many of those neighborhoods. So I will vote for this, but I'm kind of on the record as I don't think I would support any additional historic districts in Spokane, because I don't think it's something we want to expand. I think it's something we need to think hard about, well, what are the long-term ramifications of having those set-aside districts? So that's it.
Very good, thank you.
I appreciate the comments from the other speakers.
Commissioner Lenhart.
I will try to be brief. Personally, I was fortunate when I graduated undergrad and was highly underemployed to live in an apartment in a renovated home in this neighborhood. So I know what an amazing neighborhood it is. I also remember what my neighbors looked like and what kind of incomes they earned. And I have a lot of concerns with using historic districts to kind of prolong the impacts of historic redlining in our community. So I agree with a lot of the comments already. I appreciated the public comments. I appreciated the neighborhood support behind this initiative. This does align with our current comp plan, so I anticipate hesitantly supporting this. But agreed, I would like to be really thoughtful going forward, especially as we do our comp plan update, about how we think about historic districts going forward and making sure that we're not making it harder for growth and progress. So thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion and a second on the table. Angie, will you please poll the commission?
President Bang?
Aye.
Vice President Patterson?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Francis?
Aye.
Commissioner Lenhart?
Aye.
Commissioner Shook?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Yachts?
Nay.
Okay. Motion carries 7 to 1 to 0.
Okay, very good. And unless there's any other comments from the commission, we are adjourned.